The night was quieter than usual in the little town where dreams often felt too expensive to chase. Streetlights flickered along Maple Avenue, and the scent of roasted chestnuts drifted faintly from a food cart 2 blocks away. Inside a modest diner tucked between an old laundromat and a bookstore that hadn't sold a book in months, a woman stood in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, eyes misty but determined. Her name was Elena. To anyone watching, she was just another tired woman cooking for a late dinner crowd. But behind the apron and the streak of flour across her cheek, she carried a secret that no one in this small town would ever suspect. Elena was a billionaire. A self-made empire builder, a woman who had conquered boardrooms and dominated headlines, who had signed contracts worth more than this entire town's yearly income. Yet here she was, in a quiet diner, cooking alone. Why? Because sometimes wealth builds walls, and loneliness sits at the top of those walls like a heavy crown. Elena had fled the city without telling anyone. She wanted a night where she wasn't a name on magazines or a face on financial news. She wanted to be ordinary, to feel life at ground level again. But ordinary life has its own storms. By 9 o'clock, the diner had emptied, save for one corner table where a man sat with his daughter. His clothes were worn, his shoes scuffed from too many miles, but his posture carried quiet dignity. The little girl, no older than 8, giggled at something he whispered before spooning her soup with care. Elena noticed them through the open doorway from the kitchen. The way the man wiped his daughter's mouth gently with a napkin, the way he smiled even though the tiredness in his eyes gave him away, it tugged at something inside her. Then it happened. She had been stirring a pot of stew when the steam thickened, and suddenly her chest tightened. She coughed, harder and harder, dropping the spoon, trying to pull in air that wouldn't come. Panic shot through her veins, her breaths grew shallow, her vision blurred. Her hand gripped the counter, knocking over a plate. The sound startled the man in the corner. He rose instantly, instincts sharper than hesitation. His daughter gasped, "Daddy," as he rushed into the kitchen. He didn't know who Elena was. Didn't know the millions attached to her name, the power she wielded. He only saw a woman choking, collapsing against the counter, fighting for air. "Breathe, breathe, stay with me," he urged, his voice steady despite the terror in his eyes. He wrapped his arms around her from behind and performed the Heimlich maneuver with desperate precision. Once. Twice. On the third attempt, Elena's body jerked, and a lodged piece of food shot free. She coughed violently, sucking in air like it was the sweetest gift she had ever been given. Her knees buckled, but he caught her before she hit the ground. His arms were strong but careful, like a man who had learned to carry more than his own burdens. "It's okay, you're safe," he whispered, his breath trembling with relief. For a moment, time froze. Elena looked up into his face, lined with exhaustion, yet carved with kindness. Their eyes locked, and she felt something she hadn't felt in years, gratitude that reached beyond words, beyond wealth, beyond the loneliness she had hidden behind. The little girl ran in, clutching her father's sleeve. "Daddy, is she okay?" "She's okay, sweetheart," he assured her, brushing back her hair. Then, turning back to Elena, he asked gently, "Can you sit? You need water." Elena nodded, still trembling. He guided her to a chair in the corner of the kitchen. For the first time in so long, she let herself lean on someone else's strength. He didn't ask her name. Didn't ask for anything at all. He just made sure she could breathe, that her hands stopped shaking, that her eyes stopped watering. His daughter offered her a paper napkin, small hands extended with shy bravery. Elena accepted it with a shaky smile. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice raw. The man simply said, "Anyone would have done the same." But Elena knew that wasn't true. In her world, kindness often came with a price tag, generosity wrapped in expectation. Yet here was a man who didn't know her wealth, didn't see her status, only her need. And he had answered without hesitation. That night, something inside Elena shifted. She had come to the diner to feel ordinary. Instead, she had been reminded of something extraordinary, the quiet heroism of a poor dad who asked for nothing yet gave everything he could. And without realizing it, as she watched him gather his daughter's coat, preparing to leave, Elena felt the first threads of a story she never expected to live. A story where gratitude could turn into admiration, and admiration into something even deeper.